What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Here we are with another reaction. In this, we have Australian versus Indian truck drivers. Why the divide? Before we dive in, if you guys happen to enjoy, please don't forget to subscribe, give the video a thumbs up. Also, if you'd like to support the channel further, in the description, there's a Patreon link, there's a premium request link. Hit either link, make a suggestion. This is a request from Stiller. Let's get to it.
Hey guys, I want to have a talk about something I've been hesitant to bring up, talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I was asked a question a while ago. Somebody asked me, why don't Aussie truck drivers get along with Indian truck drivers? So I started going through my head and trying to come down to kind of like why Aussies kind of give Indians a bad rap. So I've weighed up all the different possibilities. Now, I've asked before on my social media, I've asked people, what's your opinion, I've had a lot of different responses. A lot say that the Indian drivers are just very poorly trained, that whether they were born here, whether they came from India on a visa, a working visa, or whether they've gotten some other type of visa that has pretty much brought them to Australia to become citizens and stuff. Now, this video, I don't want this video to be like a slagging video where
I got you.
you just basically abuse them and all this type of stuff.
Yeah.
I want to actually have a chat about what it actually is and why there is a divide between Aussies and Indians. Now, my personal opinion, and this is from my experience. Now, this is my personal experience that I've witnessed out on the road.
Gotcha.
Now, don't get me wrong, I have met a lot of Indian drivers who are the nicest people you'll ever meet in the world. And a lot of you may know my original videos that kind of got me started on social media and content creation, where I did all my characters. Now, my video that I originally first done, which was the M5 tunnel, overheight truck in the M5 tunnel.
Oh.
Now, that video was from an experience that I actually encountered.
Oh.
And I'm like, when I encountered that experience, and I had that experience, I thought, wow, like, how do I tell people about this? What I see. So I thought, you know what? I'm a bit of an idiot, a bit of a comedian. So I created a reel out of it on TikTok.
That's pretty
TikTok
cool.
was only new back then.
Yeah.
So I created the reel. That pretty much went viral. And I thought, oh, people liked it. So, I done all the other ones.
That's pretty cool. I'm gonna have to check out his TikToks and see what they look like, see how funny he is. Cause for it to go viral, I got to imagine it was pretty funny. But so far, with what I'm hearing from him is that no matter if they coming from India, if they were born in Australia, it just seems like there's a lack of training when it comes to Indian truck drivers versus Aussie truck drivers. The training's not there for them. And he, like you said, it's not a video to disrespect in any way. Just saying what he's heard and how it is.
Anyway, that's another video that I'll do later on talking about that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when I done that video, I did get some backlash from a lot of Indians. But one thing I will say is that when I got the feedback from the Indians, that there was one Indian down in Melbourne who done a TikTok and tagged me in it, and was going on about, the audacity of this guy, the audacity or whatever. He was a bit of an idiot. But every other Indian that I've ever spoken to about it, that has approached me, it's actually pretty surprising, but they've all been very nice. They've been very nice and very, they had a bit of a laugh, and
I
they
feel
said,
that.
they kind of explained to me what the turban represented. Um, and all this. I have also had Indians comment on, that have commented but have also approached me, that I've chatted to out on the road, that have basically said that, a lot of Indians don't know how to drive. One Indian actually said, because I asked him, and I said to him, like, why do Indians get a lot of bad raps and about driving and why they're not experienced, this and that.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if this is true. A few people have confirmed it with me, but one guy said to me, and he was an Indian, and he said, the thing is, he goes, when I come to Australia to drive, I come over on a visa.
Mm-hmm.
He goes, but because I had my truck license in India,
Mm-hmm.
all I did was transfer my license, my heavy vehicle license,
Oh.
to Australia, and I was able to drive straight away without any testing, without
Oh,
anything like that, no
wow.
competence tests or anything like that, which kind of explained a few things.
To me, that's just really wild, considering there are two completely different countries with completely different sets of traffic rules. I've watched traffic in India, and I guess maybe not the richer parts, but it's like a lot of just free flowing traffic where people just kind of you get in where you can fit in, and everybody just goes along with the flow of traffic. Everybody's honking their horn, not out of being mean or being rude, but to like um I guess they use it as a way of telling people where they're going and communicating, but with the horn of your car, which is kind of cool when you think about it. But yeah, so it does look like there's less traffic rules out there than there would be in Australia. So I just feel like if you're coming from a completely different country, no matter what country you're coming from, and you're going to another country, you probably need to learn the rules of that country's traffic and all the signs and everything like that. And you need to prove that you could drive a heavy vehicle in this country.
But he also said to me, he goes, Aaron, the thing you have to understand is, in India, the rules are different.
Mm-hmm.
It's every man for himself out on that road.
Mm-hmm.
In India, you have somewhere you have to go, you get there. You cut people off, you get there, whatever way you have to get there. And so it's a lot really
You get in where you can
disorganized,
fit
and
in.
it's chaos over there. He goes, when we come to Australia, and there's rules, there's courtesy, there's organised roads, and he goes, sometimes we don't know how to cope with it.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's so organised in this, we still have our mentality of how we drive back in India.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard to adapt, or it takes time. A lot of times I've got Indians that, say they're doing 10Ks under the limit, right? Now, as they're doing 10Ks under the limit, I'm overtaking. I'm overtaking on the right lane. And as I'm overtaking, they speed up. And they sit right beside me and they don't let me pass. Now, I don't necessarily think they're doing it to be an arsehole.
Yeah.
I just think that they don't realise. They don't think there's anything wrong with it.
Uh-huh.
So I don't think that a lot of them, try to be that way. It's just how they drive, and it just doesn't enter their consciousness or whatever. They just don't realise. Now, so they struggle with the chaos here, and the organised roads here, because they're so used to the chaos back in India.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of them, I've been told, are not trained properly in India.
Oh.
Different rules, different regulations, if any, over there. So when they come here, they don't follow these kind of rules and regulations and safety and have that type of courtesy. Not that they're doing it deliberately,
Yeah.
but it's just how they were over there. That's how it worked over there. So they adapt that to here. But it doesn't work here. We have a whole different way of doing things here.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to a lot of the divide between Aussies and Indians, like with the Aussie drivers, we got, car carriers, me, mud carters, cattle carters, reefers, so the fridge and freezer trucks, all different types of, trucks. Now, they're all Aussies, and we're all put in the same boat as Aussie drivers. Now, Indians, one thing I will say, and I have noticed, not that I've really looked, but I rarely see an Indian with a bonnet. I don't know why that is. They're always in a cab over, and most of the time it's a white cab over. Now, I don't know why that is.
Dang, that's a good. What is it called? When you notice something, a pattern or something. I'm not gonna figure it out. It's gonna come to my brain here in a minute. But yeah, he's saying these Indian truck drivers, like I said, completely different systems of traffic. In India, it's more free flowing. You get in where you can fit in. Like you said, you get to where you need to go. You communicate with that horn. And it looks like chaos to me when I watch it, but for them, like it's like they know how to flow in and out of traffic. But it's completely different in Australia. It is more organized. There are more rules, and so they're not used to those rules, and they have to adjust. And so there needs to be a test that they have to take if they're going to drive heavy loads in Australia, like they were doing in India. It's completely different. So you need I feel like to take a test, and it's a little funny how you just said like dude was going 10 under, and he tried to overpass him, and then he sped up to where they just driving next to each other. He's like probably not like trying to do that purposefully, just not thinking about it at all. That's pretty funny. I'd love to hear from you guys in the comment section. So far, you guys agree, disagree? What are your thoughts? I'm gonna let them keep going.
Maybe I just haven't really noticed too much of it. But yeah, that's an interesting thing. But there is a divide between Aussies and Indians, and I have asked Aussie drivers before, why is there a divide? One guy said to me, he said that, well, we all have our UHF radios on, whether it's Channel 40, Channel 29, and we get on. We let people know what's going on up ahead. We let people, knowing what's back there. We talk. We let them know if their trailer tail lights are out, their blink indicators are out, and we kindly all keep in contact. Indians never have their UHF radios on, ever.
Oh,
You try and call them up, which takes me back to my previous at the beginning of this video, what I said about pretty much my first viral reel that I done on TikTok, which is the M5 tunnel, when I was trying to get a hold of this guy, let him know that he's over height. Now, I couldn't get a hold of him. And then he ended up getting stuck in the tunnel. Because even though the lights were flashing, everything was going off, I could not get a hold of him to let him know not to go in the tunnel because he's over height, and I don't know why he couldn't see it. So they've never got that on. Now, I have asked a couple of Indians before, and they said, I said to them, why don't you ever have your radios on? Why don't you get involved in conversations? And one of them said, because you all give us shit. That's all you do. You give us shit on the radio, and we just sick of hearing it. And then I asked, and that was kind of the same type of comment I've gotten from them all the time. Yeah, and I can understand because every time you get on, you're like ding ding but and all this stuff.
Yeah, I was gonna say all guys, mostly guys, truckers. I could definitely see you giving them crap when the Indians try to get on the radio. I can. Yeah, Yeah, I can see it.
And everyone's always yelling at Raj this and Raj that, and if you see an accident, it's Raj. Um, uh, so that's what's going on with that, and also, I've asked them questions about one. An Indian guy that I actually know. I actually asked him this as a bit of a joke too, and I said to him, I said, do you work for Optus or Telstra? He's like, what do you mean? I said, well, every time I see you or one of the Indian drivers out there, you're always on the phone. Always on the phone. I said, either you're working or you've got a nationwide conference call. And he started laughing. And he goes, no. He goes, a lot of the times we are on the phone to our friends and other drivers, this and that. But also a lot of the times we call back home, India. So when we're driving, we're on the phone to our family and friends back in India because we don't all come over.
Yeah.
So they said we want to bring our family over here, but you can't just bring the whole family over. They come over to work, they get citizenship, and eventually they get their family over and stuff like that. So it's one thing I've noticed too. They're always on the phone.
That's why I figured the radios weren't on, because I figured they'd be on the phone. But I mean, that's cool. Like them wanting to call back in time to their families while they're on these long drives, I presume. And so it's like that help pass his time, but at the same time, you get to connect with your family, which is probably the entire reason you came to Australia, to drive trucks, so you can make more money, bring them over. Uh, I get it.
Now, I mean, there's got to be more of a reason why there's a divide between Indians and Aussies. So, after watching this, make sure you share the video. Give it a like or a love heart or anything like that. But also, comment. What have you noticed that is different between Aussie drivers and Indian drivers? Why is there a divide? Now, I don't want you to just slag all the Indians out and all this and that, because look, there are Aussie drivers out there that are pretty bad too. I think just when Indians do it, they get more noticed. But I do see a lot of videos out there where Indian drivers do make wrong decisions. Like one, there's a couple in the B double down near Gunning when I was driving down to Melbourne. They pulled over. There was a truck bay there. They pulled over. Why they didn't just park in the truck bay, I don't know. But they ended up pulling over further onto the grass. Ended up getting bogged. And I don't know why they pulled over to the grass. Now, it had been raining pretty heavy the day before or a couple of days before. So I'd know, okay, well, that's going to be very soggy. I'm heavy. I'm going to sink. Don't go anywhere near that grass.
Exactly.
But they did. So is it lack of experience?
Maybe.
Does the government need some type of, training courses that they have to pass when they come over here? And that goes to everybody, not just India.
Yeah.
Pakistani drivers, Afghani drivers,
any
American
drivers,
other
country.
New Zealanders,
Yeah.
anyone that comes into Australia.
Agreed.
Should there be some type of course or some type of training?
Yes.
Kind of get some experience with what our rules and regulations are, and pretty much truckie etiquette, in Australia. So give me a like, give me a share, and comment. I want to know what you've noticed about the Indians and the Australians, the divide, what causes it, why it's there, how we can fix it, so that we can just end up being, Australian truckies. Not just Indians and Aussies, but Aussie truckies.
Aussie truckies. I like
because
that.
Look, in my personal opinion, if they've made it to Australia to work, they're Aussies. If they want to live here and embrace our culture, they're Aussies.
I love that.
Doesn't matter who you are, where you're from. If you want to embrace our culture and you want to live here and you want to raise your family here, then you're an Aussie. That's what you are. So, like I said, comment, like, share, and tell me more about the divide, why it's there, how we can fix it, what you've noticed, and let's get it out there. Let's get the discussion going. But like I said, no slagging out, no bad mouthing, No calling them curry munchers and Raj is this and Raj that. They're always fucking up. And yeah, try and keep it clean and try and keep it a professional discussion.
Agreed.
Thanks, guys.
I absolutely agree with him. I think definitely if you want to start talking on the radios and things such as that, you definitely gotta be more respectful, so that they'll want to get on the radios and communicate with everyone. But that's all we have. If you guys enjoyed, please don't forget to subscribe, get a bit of thumbs up, check out the next. I'll see y'all next time.